Coach, what are you looking for in terms of a response from your team on Saturday?
Well, obviously, Adam, I think number one is, every game in the Big East is separate from what just happened and, the games that we have remaining. It's so important in conference play, in particular in this conference, to take each game for what it is and to be the most prepared, most ready we can be. So I know we're coming off of a loss, and we haven't lost in a long time prior to DePaul, so that's different. But, for us, it's so much about just being really good at noon against Georgetown at home and being the best that we can be. So I think that's really my focus and our focus, to not allow anything that happened, good or bad, in the DePaul game really affect who we're going to be at noon on Saturday. That's something we've done really well this year, and I think it's equally, super important here moving forward to kind of remain in that period of time because, we have some unique quick turnarounds. You play a game in Chicago on a Wednesday night, you get back really, really late, and then, man, at noon, Saturday game's on you quickly. If too many things distract us from being the best we can be against Georgetown, then, all of a sudden you're not yourself, you don't play as well. So that's the focus for our staff and for our team, to just simply hone in on what we need to do to be really good against Georgetown.
Such an uncharacteristic shooting night for Sule and for Colby. Easy to say, well, that's not gonna happen again for those two. But what did you see in the game that things that maybe contributed to that you need to kind of make sure aren't trends moving forward?
Yeah, Sule and Colby have just been two of our most consistent players all season, and really our offense has been just very, very consistent. There are certain things in games maybe that we didn't do as well, but we haven't had a cold shooting night from two guys, especially those two guys, this season. Our response was not very good. For the first time this year, me coaching our group, we really started to deviate from playing team basketball. And, I don't think it was from a selfish perspective. It's just you're on the road. This isn't going well. What normally happens isn't happening. So how do we win anyway? And what started to happen is individuals tried to take it upon themselves to kind of get us started. And one bad shot became a second. And in that game, we took too many just difficult, especially quick. They weren't just shots that weren't good shots. They were shots that, quite frankly, we never know if we could have got a better one because it happened within the first 10 seconds of the possession. In the second half, it's deceiving because we played that entire game with 10 turnovers, which is excellent, especially because DePaul does a great job of turning you over. But I'd say 3 or 4 of our turnovers in the second half were really head scratchers. I mean, they really were. So you start to think about the 10 turnovers. We really had closer to 20 because we took some shots that if that player takes that shot again against Georgetown, he's not going to make it against Georgetown either, or UConn or Creighton. Shot selection, a bad shot's like a turnover at the rim. And we started to get into that mode of almost like if we make this shot, it's going to count for 4 points, not 2. And that happens sometimes when you're not used to being behind, when you're not used to having an off shooting night. You kind of look at each other and say, what do we do? I think the second part, and this remains to be seen for us, is on a night when our offense isn't clicking, can we still win? Well, you have to defend at a higher level. And there were just too many moments throughout the game that we broke down. Look, they had 45 points at the half. 2 of their players had 31. And we've been able to overcome some of those moments in the past because of our offense. Well, in this particular game, we didn't have our shooting. And, we ended up getting a tough loss. And I credit DePaul.
In terms of the quick turnaround, good in some respects to get right back on the court after a tough loss like that?
I think so. The game being on us, you're right. You quickly move forward, but that's, to my earlier answer to Adam's question, that's why it's super important to not talk too much, think too much about what just happened, and be able to really move on and play Georgetown for the second time. Look, I watch Georgetown's games and their scores of their games, including the last one on Monday at Villanova. Man, they're in these games. They're right there. The first time that we played them in D.C., we had a huge offensive night. What happened against DePaul for us, the opposite happened at Georgetown. We made shot after shot after shot, but we could not put them away. It was a hard-fought win on the road. So I think our team has a healthy dose of respect for Georgetown and its players, and especially coming off of what just happened for us. My hope is that we're locked in and ready to go.
At the end of the DePaul game, Adam Kunkel was hobbling pretty bad. You said after the game that he sort of collided with the floor. Is the expectation that he's going to be okay to play on Saturday?
Yes. I'm not even sure. I just think he just, like I said after the game, I think he was just really playing hard, and he did. He dove on the floor a couple times on that one sequence, and maybe he just got banged up, but seemed fine yesterday, and I think he's going to be fine.
I know that you're very inundated with preparing for Georgetown and coaching, but coming up on a significant anniversary from your playing career. I think it's 34 years since the Jerome Lane dunk at Pitt. You obviously were a part of that play. You made the pass to him. What do you remember about that 34 years later from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a great play to be a part of because it lasts a lifetime. There's nobody that can ever ask the question, Coach, did you play? Did you play in the Big East? That clip just inevitably is going to come up at least once a year. But yeah, I think it's the greatest dunk of all time. I mean, you got to keep in mind that the player on Providence actually took a charge. It was an and one. The backboard, just came down. It was a nationally televised game. I think back then it was called Big East Monday. So the whole nation, without as many TV channel choices, was tuned in if you loved college basketball. And a great player broke the backboard, Jerome Lane. I guess the only thing that I don't like about the play itself is I think sometimes it takes away from how great of a college player Jerome was. I mean, he was an All-American. He led college basketball in rebounding an entire season. He averaged, I think, close to 13 and a half rebounds a game. Back then in the Big East Conference, I mean, wow, that's really unbelievable. And he was an NBA player. So sometimes when you think of Jerome, you think of the dunk, when in fairness to him, it's his career that you really should think about, But it was amazing. I mean, the game stopped for about an hour. I mean, they had to roll in a brand new basket, clean the floor. So, yeah, to be a part of it is really special. And Jerome was inducted into the Pitt Hall of Fame in the fall. A lot of us attended it. I was able to attend it, and really, it was awesome to see all those guys.
Was that a no-look pass, or do you remember?
It was a 3-on-1. I had Demetrius Gore. I had two great choices. Demetrius, who's passed away in the last year, was a great player as well. But I probably made the quick right decision for a point guard, going with maybe the better finisher. But it was a 3-on-1, and it was like perfect timing. But yeah, it was a big play.